Hello, my name is Leah Zaide. I participated in a research program with Professor Claudia Sanchez, Dr. Trinidad Arguelles, and head researcher Dr. Maria Monzon. My poster title is The Unknown Risks of E-Cigarette Secondhand Aerosols. E-cigarettes were originally created to wean smokers off of nicotine. However, there has been a rise in vaping by a younger population, primarily in their high school and college years. In 2019, 27.5% of high schoolers had used e-cigarettes in a 30-day period. Exposure to the harmful chemicals present in e-cigarettes, especially at such a young age, is shown to be detrimental to their health. This is true of the users directly, as well as those around them. There is recent concern on the effects of secondhand e-cigarette aerosols, as e-cigarette use is becoming more prevalent. Research has shown that exposure to e-cigarette secondhand smoke can still pose adverse health effects due to chemicals such as propylene glycol and nicotine, which are known to cause lung function deficit. Further public education is necessary, as there is an apparent misconception among Americans that secondhand e-cigarette exposure is not harmful. Exposure to secondhand smoking at home has also been proven to influence adolescents into trying e-cigarettes themselves, thus compounding the risks. E-cigarette devices, otherwise known as vapes, create vapors dissimilar to the combustion products in cigarettes, where the tobacco is simply burned in the paper. The solution in the vapes are heated by the atomizer in the cartridge to produce vapors which are inhaled and then exhaled into the air. The solution typically consists of nicotine, although some are sold without, propylene glycol, and vegetable glycerin. Similarly to regular cigarette aerosols, there is also a danger of secondhand smoke affecting bystanders. I will now discuss the literature of e-cigarette secondhand aerosols. Two surveys and two experiments will be discussed. One of the experiments, although conclusive, had a small sample size. The study performed urine analysis to measure the level of a carcinogen in urine. For the results to be conclusive, more trials would need to be performed. Three populations were compared: those who live with a vapor, a smoker, and the control home with no smoker. The urine was analyzed of 24 people in control homes, 6 in e-cigarette homes, and 25 in cigarette homes. Another study was done analyzing the amount of chemicals participants were exposed to through direct and indirect means. For the indirect portion, a pseudo work office was created, which one person vaped and the other stood in the room. Their exposure levels were then gathered. The results of the study discussed in the method previously will be analyzed. A survey was conducted among American adults, which discovered that there is a misconception on whether secondhand vapor from e-cigarettes is dangerous. One misconception was that as e-cigarettes do not burn off the same harmful chemicals contained in e-cigarettes, e-cigarette vapor is simply composed of water vapor. Another survey was distributed among youths in middle and high school. If an adolescent was exposed to secondhand smoke at home, they were more likely to have used an e-cigarette before. Of those who had vaped before, 29.8% reported simply living with a smoker, while 23.9% were exposed to secondhand smoke directly. This is significant, as only about 20% of the students who lived with a smoker had vaped before had not been exposed to secondhand smoke at home. This survey, as described in the methods section, had a small sample size. Urine analysis of non-smokers are exposed to electronic cigarettes showed that 66.7% contained NNAL, a carcinogen found only in tobacco. Another study analyzed the amount of hazardous chemicals participants were exposed to through direct and indirect means. The hazard quotient is defined as a ratio of exposure to a chemical to the level of exposure which is not harmful. Hazard risks over 1 can lead to adverse side effects. 9 chemicals were analyzed, in which 2 were found with a high hazard quotient, those being propylene glycol and nicotine. And this can be seen in Table 1 below. The literature indicates that e-cigarette use is an area of research that needs to be experimented on. As such, our research group created a questionnaire to gather data on the students of Miami-Dade College. Before taking part in the survey, students had to complete an informed consent form. As part of the project, students were also provided with informational material in the form of a brochure. 69 students took part in the survey this summer, 46 who were female and 23 who were males. This is an ongoing study which will be validated and expanded on in the future. Figure 1 shows promotional flyers which were created to inform students of the survey. And Figure 2 shows a screen from a participant's point of view while taking the survey. Even though extensive research still needs to be conducted, what has been done so far indicates the detrimental effects of vaping products as well as secondhand aerosols. As a relatively new product, more information is still yet to be determined. Just like in the past with traditional cigarettes, the pop-up of these new devices can be seen everywhere, from the supermarket to the college campus. Designated smoking areas are even found in family-friendly locations such as amusement parks. Research is critical to the enactment of adequate legislation to protect public health everywhere where e-cigarettes are concerned. Education, however, should take a leading role in informing the public. As indicated in my results section, there is ample misconception on the harms of vaping and secondhand aerosols. In the upcoming semester, our group will not only continue to distribute the survey and gather data, as well as educating the Miami-Dade community on the facts of e-cigarettes. I would like to acknowledge that the original research summarized in the following poster was supported in part by the U.S. Department of Education Grant Award, STEM Space. Any opinions, findings, and conclusions or recommendations expressed in this material are those of the authors and do not necessarily reflect on the views of the funding agency. Thank you.